In this video, we're going to go through modals, which is a special type of verb. It's a verb that helps out, so we call it a special helping verb. For instance, can. You could say I can, and in this case, a modal can stand on its own, but usually you have another verb following it. I can read. And so this verb phrase put together here consists of the modal can, and the verb read. So let's go on to a few other examples. I'm going to see other modals. So we have can I help you? We've seen that one. And then we have he could, which is the past tense of can. So this is past tense. Could not swim across the lake. So this is probably referring to some event, maybe last week. They were talking about Johnny. He could not swim across the lake. Now could can also be used to talk about something actually in the future, in the sense that something hasn't happened yet. It can be used in a very polite way to say, could you do something for me? So a very polite way of asking. So could you please help me out? Could you please give me some water? And that can be sometimes confusing because here we have the past tense of could, and here the modal could is used as a polite way of asking. You could say, can you please help me out? But that's a little harsher, and that's why we sometimes use could to ask a question. It's a polite way of doing so. So to make sure that you know could has those two functions. Now, moving on, we see the word here, may I leave now? This is also a nice way of asking something. And just as can and could are sometimes confused, or the two coulds are confused, sometimes people are confused by may or might. There is a tiny difference between the two, but it's so minute that you don't really have to worry about it. For the most part, you can use both of these interchangeably. May I leave now? Might I leave now? It's a little bit more polite and old-fashioned, or you could see here he might run for mayor, or he may run. Again, the point of this video is to show you these verbs. They're modal verbs. Why? Because they usually go with another verb. Notice how may goes with leave and might goes with run. You wouldn't just say may I, or maybe you would, but you usually would put a verb there. And you wouldn't just say he might for mayor. That you definitely wouldn't say. But that's why we need that extra verb right there to help out, or that goes without helping modal verb might. We're not done with modals just yet. There's do, which is a very common one. Do you know the way to San Jose? So you can see that modals are oftentimes used as questions, or the interrogative case. There's a question mark. Do you know the way to San Jose? Do, used in the present tense. PR, present tense. And then in G here we have he did not know how to drive a car until he was 30 years old. We have the modal verb do, but now it's being used in the past tense. So in this video we went over the main modals, and it's really about knowing how to use them. That is important. You can use them to ask questions, to ask permission for something, or they can just form sentences in of themselves, as we have here in G, and as we did in the other sentences that don't necessarily ask a question, but it's important to know that these modal verbs go with another verb, just as here, he did not know. And so you can't necessarily have these verbs on their own, as in he did, wouldn't make sense, and therefore you have modal verbs.